Statistics felt overwhelming to me and feel overwhelming to lots of people, but consultants just follow a system. Now here's my master's degree, but I almost didn't get it. I only passed because I created a simple system for doing stats in Excel. If you've been avoiding statistics or outsourcing them to AI, then this could be the video that makes everything easier. This is the 3-step consultant method to apply statistics to any dataset in Excel. So a good way to get started is to find the midpoint of a dataset. Let's get into the spreadsheet. We can see our 2 datasets here. So what formula is going to help us initially anyway is the average formula. So what's the average formula going to give us? Gives us the mean average. So if we add all these numbers together, then divide by the number of values in the data set, this is the output that average gives us. And we can go ahead, remember to actually select the data set, of course, Control-Shift-Down, and then we can just autofill right. And I can see we've got our 2 mean averages, which are pretty close. So does that mean these data sets are similar? Let's take a different look at this data set. So I'm going to go ahead. I really like doing this with small data sets in particular. I want a different view. So I'm going to harness some array formulae here, transpose and sort. Go ahead, accept the correction. Not doing very well with formulae today, am I? Accept the correction. We've got a different view of this data set. Perhaps more interesting, when we look at the other data set, open the bracket, sort, select the data, Control-Shift-Down, and then close these brackets. And we can see the data sorted, and this outlier value really stands out here. So what's the significance of this outlier value? Well, let's go ahead and take a look at a different measure, which is the median average. So why is the median average important? Well, in everyday statistics, if we're talking about house prices, if we're talking about salaries, they don't use the mean. They use the median because the mean is dragged up or dragged down by outlier values, as we're going to see in just a second. So the same thing for the median, Control-Shift-Down, autofill right, and suddenly we've got some insight here because the mean for dataset 2 is very different to the median. So how's the median working? Well, it's picking out the mid value of the data set, which is 14 for data set 2, 17 for data set 1. And it shows us how misleading the mean average can be because the mean average is being dragged up by this outlier value. And to complete the picture here, we can go ahead and look at a visualization of this data, and I can see data set 2 with this outlier value. So when we think about the midpoint, it's not just the mean average, we've got to take a look at the median too. So we've found the midpoint, but that only tells half the story. So the next step is to find the variation. How spread out is the data back into the spreadsheet? What formula is going to help us do this? Well, first we can see I've done our basic analysis. Those midpoints have come out quite similar, haven't they? So are these data sets similar? Let's find out. I recommend you also do a min, a max, and range calculation. You can find these in the download file. That tells us the range of the data from the top to the bottom of the data. What's the range? That's a good way to get started with this spread analysis. So what formula is going to help us here? Yes, the standard deviation formula is going to help us measure variation, but which one should you use? We've got standard deviation P, standard deviation S. Well, usually I avoid the decision altogether and I just go for this standard deviation option down here. We're going to find out later the significance of that P and S. It does matter. So standard deviation, going to go ahead, select our data set, hit enter, and then copy this formula across. And what's happened, you can see a significant difference in variance with these 2 data sets, a 24% difference, 24% difference. We never would have caught that if we'd stopped at step 1 and just done a midpoint analysis. Let's get stuck into standard deviation here. A big advantage that we have over AI is we're humans and we can actually explain and interpret what these measures mean. So could you explain how standard deviation is derived? We're going to see it's not as difficult as a lot of people make out. So we're going to take each value in the data set. I'm going to say take data set 1, and I want to find out the difference between the mean for each value in this data set. So if we say the value minus the mean, I'm going to hit F4 here to fix the mean average reference there. And I'm just going to put these inside an absolute formula that's going to make sure all of them are positive. And then once we've done the formula, we square all of those distances. Why do you square the differences? That gets rid of any negatives, because a negative multiplied by a negative gives us a positive. We want to have a positive value here. That gives us the sum of squares. The sum of squares, have you heard that in your old stats lessons? Perhaps. The sum of squares is the sum of all the distances squared, and we then divide that by the number of values in the data set, or do we? Let's start with the number of values in the data set, which is 11. That gives us the sum of squares divided, and we then square root that using the square root formula. That gives us the standard deviation. Or does it? Because it's slightly different here. Well, what's happened? Let's go ahead and change this to 10. Why would you change it to 10? There's 11 values in the data set. Well, of course, consults notes, this is Bessel's correction. Bessel's correction, because if we have a sample, not a population, we don't have all the data in the world about what we're looking at. We only have a sample, so we use 10, not 11, to account for the fact that the variance in the sample is usually smaller than the variance in the population. I might have got that the wrong way around. Anyway, Bessel's correction. So we can see the standard deviation figures are now the same. If I were to change this to standard deviation P, which is actually the less used measure, of course, apply that to the data set, what value will we get? 3.16. And just to illustrate this, we're now using all of the values in the data set, and you can see 3.16 down here. But the long and short of this is, of course, I recommend using the standard deviation S formula. This one is the one that's usually used in the real world, but hopefully you're seeing why we need to include a measure of spread in our analysis. And this becomes even more clear once you go ahead and look at our visualization. Look how different these two data sets are. You can see the spread of the data. We never would have understood that if we'd stopped at step 1 with our midpoint analysis. Welcome to the year of your Excel success, but this isn't really about Excel, it's about you. Each month we build one skill step by step, no overwhelm, just steady progress with me and people like you. Because when you put your energy into the right skills, when your ladder is leaning against the right wall, everything gets easier, your work gets clearer, your confidence grows. So join the next live session and make this year the year you finally feel in control of Excel and of your career. Click subscribe to join the journey, links below. Understanding is one thing, showing is another. So now let's tell the full story. So step 3 is to do a visualization. We've seen various charts so far. You can look at those in the download file. We're going to do something a bit more challenging. We're going to take a big, ugly data set here. So we've got 1,000 values in our data set, and you'll notice this data isn't discrete. It's what's called continuous data. It isn't text and it isn't whole numbers. So how would you go about analyzing this? Could be a nightmare. We want to change this data into this. And believe it or not, it's just a couple of minutes to do this kind of analysis. So how to get started? You need this kind of setup. Firstly, we need to know what's the range we're working with, the max and the min. I'm going to go ahead and put these formally in. First, the max formula, Control-Shift down on the Windows PC, and then the min formula gives me a sense of the range of the data we're working with, because we need to make buckets. We need to make some buckets. Yep. So we're going to have buckets across this data range from 5 to 50. You can choose how big or small those buckets are. And then Excel, via one of my Excel secret weapons, we're going to see it in a second, is going to drop each piece of data into the bucket. And we're going to count how many pieces of data are in each bucket. That's the concept. Let's try to make the magic happen. So the upper bounds for each of our buckets, I'm going to go for buckets of 2.5. You can go for whatever suits your data. So 2.5, 7.5, I've just put a formula in to accelerate that. Now you do need single values in a cell to make the magic happen. The formula we're going to see in a second needs these values in a cell. So what's this for? This is for our chart. A similar simple formula here. This is for our chart labels. So you have to have this set up. We're going to go across, the formula is going to go in here. I'm selecting all of the cells for this formula. Yes, the frequency formula, old school Excel power, the frequency formula, tricky to set up. You have to work through the steps. The first step is to select all of the cells you want the formula to go into. With that done, we can get the formula going. Going to hit the tab key. Our data array, that's our data set, Control Shift down. We definitely need our absolute references here. Hitting the F4 key, and then the bins array. Well, we've pre-prepared that. Just go ahead, select the values we put in. Once again, hit the F4 key. I can see 1, 2, 3, 4 dollar signs there. Then just take a beat. This is where I always mess it up. I'm going to close the bracket, and then this is an old school array formula. So we have to hit Control Shift and then enter. Holding down Control Shift, hitting the Enter key, and we can see suddenly the frequency formula coming to life, communicating the story of this data. Now, a quick sense check here. How many numbers, what should these numbers add up to if the formula is working? Well, we know we have 1,000 values in our data set. I can see at the bottom of Excel, this is adding up to 1,000. So it's pretty good in the real world. I'll do further testing to prove that. But with this setup, it's easy to get to a visualization. Make sure you pre-select this data. So our chart labels and our formula outputs, 2 columns there. Insert. I'm going to go for a column chart. A bar chart is also good here. And you can see we're telling the story of the data via a visualization. Now, I'm going to delete this chart in Blue Peter style. I've got the chart I created earlier. So with a bit of formatting, you can get to this. This tells us the story of the data. Just finding the midpoints, we wouldn't have been able to get these insights, even with the variation. We wouldn't be able to get these insights. This is a bimodal distribution. Now, I had a bit of help from Copilot. An example of a bimodal distribution, it might be journey times to work. If you've got some people living in the city, some people living in the suburbs, you're going to get these clusters of data around these 2 modes. So this is why we've got to work through the steps. Midpoints, to the spread, to the visualization, to communicate the story of the data. Yes, it's true. I almost failed my masters because I couldn't do statistics, and everything got easier when I got into Excel, developed this kind of system, and particularly that standard deviation calculation. I remember doing it on my masters to actually understand how those calculations work. That's your advantage over AI. Yes, you can throw this all into an AI tool, but people really want humans to explain and interpret, to tell the story of the data. So I hope you too get value out of our 3-step consulting system, and I hope you too can conquer statistics in Excel. Today we've learned how to easily apply statistics in Excel. If you're following the year of your Excel success, don't forget to subscribe. The next video to watch is right here.